And we'll just go ahead and start. I'm going to go live on Facebook and share on your timeline. Yeah. Okay. That looks like somebody popped in on the webinar as
Oh, good.
well. And we're just going live on Facebook. So say something about this. It should have been on the. All right. Just say 4 essential factors. All right. We go live apparently. All right, let's see here. Yeah, it looks like we are live. Dusty, let me see what I can do on the Zoom.
It's good to be alive.
We are live. Well, aloha, beautiful beings of light, Ricky Lee. Thanks for tuning in. I'm just getting dialed in here with my friend Dusty Staub. This is going to be a lot of fun today, so just bear with us as we get acclimated and get this screen set up so we've got a good view. Thanks for tuning in. All right, Dusty, here we go. I'm going to get this gallery view lined in. We'll hold it like that. And I believe that'll give us the dialogue we want on Facebook. So, all right. Well, thanks for tuning in. This is, again, my dear friend, Dusty Staub. He's got about 31 years of transformational leadership at before we got on here, I was telling my friend Dusty, I said, look, I know that what I really want to do today is I want you to share you. And I know mastery when I see it. And I know that I even I've said, I got to put myself in your hands and allow you to lead. And so I wanted to yield myself to you. And you helped me in that moment to get back to that place of what it means to be that warrior. So without further ado, this is mastery. My dear friend Dusty Staub is going to help share and shed some light on what the 4 essential factors of trust really are. And I'm anxious to learn because I really don't know what they are. I'm not sure what he's going to share today. This is the mystery, and I know I'm safe. I know you're safe too, because I know my friend Dusty. I know his heart, and I prepared my heart before I came into this place. I had to. I couldn't show up any other way. That's how I had to prepare myself for my friend. And so we can't get this wrong, friends. We just show up and do the best we can. You're in good company. And that's what I want to tell you. I love you. You're wonderful, beautiful, and kind. That's the environment you just walked into. So welcome. Welcome. This is your place. This is your space. You just stepped into a whole lot of love. And Dusty, we're going to talk about navigating change because we're experiencing a lot of change today.
Yeah.
And whew, let me just pass the sword, my friend.
Well, you're using the image of a warrior. And for me, I like Damon Perry's concept of warriors of the heart. And a warrior of the heart knows when to be strategically still, when to move, when to rest, when to do, when not to do. And so part of being able to navigate the huge turbulent waves of change that are hitting us and that are going to continue to hit us. I don't think we've seen anything yet. I really think even more is coming, bigger. How we navigate those huge waves of change means that we have to have a GPS system. We need to have a steering system. We need to have ballast so we don't get overturned. We need to have a storm anchor to keep bow on into the waves. We need to have a sense of a gyroscope to bring us back to plumb when we get knocked to the side. And all of those things are part of what it takes to truly navigate the huge waves of change that we're facing. And to do it is to do it as a warrior of the heart, to bring your compassion, to bring your strength, to bring your indomitable will, to bring your grace, to bring your questions, to bring your vulnerability. And so for me, navigating the waves of change is so complex. That's why I'm doing a 5-part series over 5 consecutive Thursdays, so that people can really learn those systems and learn tools and mechanisms to help them move through them effectively. And one of the things that you talked about was trust. And trust is actually a critical factor. When you look at dealing with change, you're looking at dealing with life, you have to identify what are the critical factors, the most essential factors that if you don't take them into account can cause your vessel to leak, to take on excess water, to swamp, maybe to sink. Staying with that analogy of a craft in rough seas. And trust is one of those critical factors. And now, one of the things that I'm an author, written 4 books and 200 articles now, and I look at words. So the word trust is so big. Someone says, I don't trust you. And what does that mean? So, because trust actually has 4 pieces to it, 4 factors. So if you say to me, Dusty, I don't trust you, my question was, what is it you don't trust, Rick? Is it you don't trust my competency? You don't think I know what I'm talking about? And you say, no, I think I trust your competency. I think you know what you're talking about. You've been around for decades and you've been successful with folks. So yeah, I think you're competent. But I say, then what is it you don't trust? Is it my integrity? You don't think I'm going to back up what I have to say. I'm not willing to meet my commitments. You say, no, I think you'll meet your commitments. I trust your competency. I trust the fact that you're going to meet your commitments. And I say, well, then what is it you're not trusting? Is it you don't trust my motive? And you say, bingo, bingo. You're competent, you have integrity, but I think you're out for yourself. I don't think you're out for me. That make sense?
I felt that all the way through. I get that. It's absolutely.
Yep.
There's this balance of I know you're gonna get something from me, and there's this energy exchange and this give and take, but I'm like I want to bring so much value, and yet, you know,
Yeah.
I'm, so yeah, do we struggle with that
Yeah.
balance of energy is what I hear you saying.
Exactly.
What's your motive? Is it just for you, or am I in the equation too?
Yeah.
That
Exactly.
yeah.
But there's so much
Interesting.
hype. There's so much hype now on the internet. There's so much hype on buy this product and all your belly fat will go away overnight. Do this set of exercises and you'll be able to do handstands and backflips. I mean, there's all kinds of promises. And some were really backed up, and some are the intentions are really great. Some the intention is I just want to say something so I can make money, and so and they may not have the integrity to back up their product offering. So, we talked about I break trust into 4 buckets. So when we're talking about trust, first of all, is somebody competent? Do I trust that they know what the hell they're talking about? Second, do I trust they're going to back it up? That's integrity. Third, do I trust their motive? Are they care about me? Do they care about this? Will they go beyond their given word, or is it just about them?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
there's a fourth element of trust. And for me, this is the golden ring. And that is, do I trust that you are in service to something greater than your ego?
Yeah.
That makes sense?
It makes absolute sense. I Yeah. Because if life's a game, if we're gonna play with our friends, have a lot of fun, enjoy the energy, it has to be at play. This doesn't have to be hard work. It doesn't. We don't have to make it that complicated.
Right, right.
But still, but these factors, I gotta be okay. Competent, integrity, motive, and service. These are four essential factors before you
They
can ever build trust. Do you have
those
to understand those things?
Yeah, well, those are the building blocks of trust. Trust is monolithic. And so when people say, I don't trust you, that doesn't tell me anything. I need to know what is it they don't trust. And that's why I asked those four questions. I was working with a nuclear regulatory group. They did consulting with the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, which is pretty heavy hitters. And there was a PhD physicist, nuclear physicist, that one of the senior team members said, I don't trust you. And the guy was really upset because he thought he was challenging his competency. And so I said, wait a minute, do you think this guy's incompetent? No, he's very competent. He's one of our brightest people. Do you trust his integrity? Yeah, I think he backs up what he says. Then what is it you mean by not? And the physicist was completely dumbfounded. So what is it you mean when you say you don't trust? He said, I'm not sure he's in it for all of us. I think
Hmm.
he's in it for himself. I said, so you don't
Hmm.
trust his motive? And he said, yeah. Well, once the physicist understood that, then he could work through things. But when you say, I don't trust you, that didn't tell me anything. What is it you don't trust? And for me, the fourth building block came when I realized once I work with people, like with you, Rick, I trust their competence. I trust their integrity. I trust their motive.
Yeah.
However, if I don't know what they're in service to, if I don't feel that larger sense of service, I don't trust them at that level.
Hmm.
And for me, that's the sine qua non. That's the where it all comes together. Of if I know that you're in service to something greater, then you might not have a competency, but we can work on building the competency. If I know you're in service to something greater, you may have some breaches of integrity, but I know you'll get back on path. If I know you're in service to something greater and your motive is a little off, I can talk to you and I know that you'll get your motive cleaned up. But if you don't have that larger thing you're in service to, you can get off base in all three of those other ones.
Hmm. You said something to me the other day. It really sunk in, and I practice this. I said slowing things down about 85%.
Yeah. You got it.
Hmm. Hmm. It seems so simple and so easy.
Yeah.
It's it's it seems logical. Well, what's the bridge? Why is this so hard? It seems to be coming naturally to me. My days are, but yet I'm looking out into the world and I'm I'm seeing something different. I'm actually rubbing up. I'm as I step back into the world, into the business world. it's it's been an eye opener. Truly
Yeah.
this awakening, if you will, because I've been a recluse. I've been reclusive. I've played in business and I've had fun. I haven't had to really get to really truly get down to being present at that level, at that high level of being present with every single person that you meet.
Yeah.
And this is mastery stuff, but I can't and that's why I'm so selective with the people that I'm bringing in so close, because they hold such a valuable mirror, just for my own growth. And this isn't about you know just me. Like, I know that when I show up in the world, eh, prepared as my highest self, like prepared to see you as you are, like the way I get to hold you, right? And it's not even holding you, it's just letting you be the highest ideal of you in service of me. I see you for me.
Mm.
I see you for me. How do we get to that place of trust, of I see you for me because I am for you, and we are kind of like for we. Oh, thanks for letting me ramble, Dusty.
Sure. Trust is a critical factor. Without trust, and since I do a lot of work with corporations and senior executives, um, this is true for families, it's true for individuals, it's true for teams, it's for startups, it's for large multinational corporations. If you're part of an organization, part of a team, part of a unit, a partnership, and there you don't have trust, or the trust is damaged in one of those four critical areas, what happens is you don't have psychological safety, which is another critical factor, by the way, for high functioning teams. If you don't have psychological safety because you know you can't trust this aspect, either what they're in service to, or their motive, or their integrity, or their competence, what happens is you pull back, you hold back, you don't share, you don't innovate, you don't create. And trust is one of the things that is all too rare in many corporate settings. Many so-called senior teams are actually senior committees where people are in competition with each other.
Mm.
They're not open-hearted. There isn't a true psychological safety. And one of the things that we do in our organization, one of the things that I pioneered, going back over 30 years now, is this whole idea of psychological safety. That if you don't create a psychologically safe environment, you'll never get the best ideas. You'll never get true inclusivity. You'll never build diversity. You'll have a monoculture of thinking. And that's a really bad thing to happen in an organization. When change is happening and you have these huge waves, I need as much creativity and as much insight and different perspectives and different skill sets as possible to make sure that we get through this and we get through this intact. And without trust, if I don't trust the captain of the ship, if I don't trust the steward, if I don't trust the person in the engine room, if I don't trust the person to have my line, if I get washed overboard, I'm not going to put myself out there. I'm not going to take the risk. I'm not going to open up. So trust is huge. And that leads to the other critical factor of psychological safety, which you want to create. That's a whole different story. And to do this, to build trust, to address the trust issues in one of those four major areas, to address the lack of psychological safety requires courage. And courage is another critical factor. And I break courage into 7 distinct acts because courage, again, is so monolithic. What goes into making that? What goes into making courage? Well, everybody's got courage. They don't have all the acts of courage, and leave out one of the acts of courage, such as the courage to be vulnerable and open, and it all starts falling apart. That becomes the weak link in the chain. That becomes I guess, the critical factor that can lead to systemic failure. So it's very important to consider these things, and that's part of that navigating those waves of change that I really want people to understand and have tools and means to work with.
Yeah, when we spent time together in Ireland, it was really you know, it's kind of funny because you kicked my butt in yoga. I'd show up at 7 o'clock in the morning and you'd be out there on the mat already and, firing away. And I couldn't keep up with you. I couldn't keep up with you. And today I still couldn't keep up with the routine that you were running. You're healthy. You're a beautiful human being. And Dusty, you're 70 years old. You just turned 70 this year.
Yep. Yep.
That's life experience, transformational change. 31 years invested in corporate culture.
Yep.
How you gotta have seen some stuff, right? Come on, right? You gotta have seen some stuff. What?
Yeah.
Talk to me about acts of courage in getting those. Can you give me some examples of some stuff that you've seen and you've been a part of?
Yeah. Yeah. I can. Uh, I have to change a few factors around to protect the innocent or the guilty. Uh,
Okay, okay.
so one of the things that I was working with an executive in a Fortune 50 company, and this executive was one of the youngest executives to be in the position. And this individual had an issue with their boss. And it was that the boss basically said, do what I say, don't ask any questions. As long as you do what I say, we'll be okay. So it's his way or the highway. And this executive she had lots of ideas, lots of insight, lots of passion, and she felt she was being flattened in the process. So, but she felt she needed the job. She felt she was stuck. And I said, whenever you feel you're stuck and you feel like you have no options, it's a failure of imagination. That's a lie. There are infinite options. We need to step back and look at what the possibilities are. Once she began to entertain the idea that there was life after this organization, that she could go somewhere else, that gave her some freedom and some courage to then see if she could make a change. I have to know I've got other options, usually, and I have the courage to actually leave before I can truly commit. This is true in a marriage. You have to know that you can leave before you can truly commit. It's a paradox.
Yeah.
You have to, if you absolutely need the other person, you have no freedom.
Yep.
All right.
Mm.
And I've learned that in going on 33 years of marriage, that
21, 21 this year.
congratulations. Yeah, yeah. You have to continue to let go in order to keep the relationship alive and whole, to keep it fresh. You can't have to keep releasing into it, and you have to keep letting go. And it keeps evolving. That's part of the change, part of the process.
Yeah, my wife said to me last
Change.
night, forgive me.
What'd she say?
Well, she said the same. She says, we have to evolve together. That's simple. We have to evolve together.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we are. Yeah. But, she's always one step ahead of me. I'm just, following behind, like, follow the cheese. I don't know what it is. She's got all of me. It's okay.
It's actually true in my marriage. I'm always a half step behind Christine, and I have to run sometimes really, really hard just to try to keep even with her because she keeps growing and changing and challenging me.
Yeah.
And that's the wonderful thing about having the right partner is there's going to be that challenge. While you know you're loved and really appreciated, you're also challenged. And they're not going to wait around for you for too long. You have to get your gumption and get up and go. Get up and move.
Yeah. Well, when you know you got to go, you got to get up and take the action to do it. Don't sit around and wait. It's with no action, no traction, right? I think
Yeah.
I thought I said I was going to steal that from you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a saying of mine that until you really take action, there is nothing in your life to give you traction. And what I would say is to finish the story that I started. This young lady decided that since she had the freedom now, we worked on a courageous conversation. And I used a process called intent behavior result to help her build this. She went in and had this courageous conversation. And one of the secrets to making it work is to attribute to the other person the very best qualities you would love to see in them.
Mm.
All right. So for many people, the way to approach it would be going and saying, hey, boss, you suck. You really are a terrible boss. You da 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 da. Or come in and say, gee, I wish you would really do this for me, because if you did that, that'd be really nice. So you're either threatening or pleading, or you're intimidating, or you're accusing. All you're going to do is either lose respect or get defensive behavior. However, if you walk in, as she did, and you say, hey, boss, I know you want this team to be the absolute best. And I know you're passionate and committed. And I know that you see I have a passion and commitment too. And I do my best to follow your direction. And I feel I'm really letting you down. And I want to apologize, because sometimes I've seen a way where we could do it better. And because I was afraid, I let you down. And I did not give you my best ideas. And that's not worthy of you. It's not worthy of me. I want to apologize. Will you accept my apology? And he went, sure. She said, great. Then I want to share an idea with you. She transformed her relationship with him by attributing to him the very best qualities he would want to have in himself, the very best qualities she would want to see in him. And then she began to design her conversations, always attributing positives, and he began to listen to her. So part of it is we have to bypass the ego. We have to bypass the old psychological defensive structure. And the other person, we give them an option. We give them a way of seeing themselves more whole, more complete, more powerful, more effective than they thought they could be. Because that boss's behavior is a defensive shell. And going defensive to defensive doesn't work. You have to bypass it. In fact, what I would say is, and I say this to all executives, is you're never going to change anybody at the level of the head. If you want to try to change somebody, logical arguments aren't going to work. If you want to try to change somebody, appealing to them mentally isn't going to work. You have to touch their heart. You have to engage their heart. So that means you've got to bypass the logic circuits to get to the heart, to engage the heart so that they can feel safe enough to open up and they trust what you're saying and your motive with them. And then you have permission. And then you can do some amazing things. This is all just part of being able to navigate change and being able to seize the opportunity that's cleverly disguised as real problem.
Yeah, in today's world, we're looking for a hack, right? The millennials, this generation, we're bridging a couple generations here,
Yeah.
but we're relevant. But we're freaking relevant. That's the truth. It's so relevant. It's more relevant today. It's more relevant today because it just feels good. I much prefer the way that I feel today than I did with a different lens. And it's this perception that the perception of trust, the perception, how did I get to that place of being able to trust the whole universe, not just another human being?
Mhm.
How do you that is like, so you're going to touch on the you're going to touch on these. This is just one part of that.
This is just one part.
What are the other parts coming up? Talk to me on this, because now I'm getting a little interested. What else?
All right. So when you look at navigating the huge waves of change, and you look at the ways in which you're going to seize the opportunity that's hidden in the danger, hidden in the threat, you have to have a good GPS system. You have to know who you are. You have to know why you're here. You have to know what you're in service to. If you don't know that, there's a wonderful movie called The Cinderella Man, and it was a story of a fighter, a true story, who won he was the heavyweight champion of the world. But before he got to be the heavyweight champion of the world, he was knocked out, and he gave up fighting, and he was working as a stevedore. And he'd broken his hand, so he had to learn to use the other hand. Well, then he went back in the ring to fight because in the Great Depression, his children didn't have milk. And he went back to fight, but he went back to fight with a different attitude, with a different orientation, more strategic. And now he could use both fists, left and right. And he went on to beat Max Baer, who had killed 2 men in the ring through blows to the head. Max Baer was a fierce, fierce heavyweight champion, and he defeated him. When he was asked by the reporters, "Why are you doing this? Why are you putting yourself at risk?" He said, "For milk. My kids need milk. I'm a father." He was in service to his kids. He knew what he was about. And when he could have retired, he gave someone a shot at the heavyweight championship.
Yeah.
And he lost it. His name was gentleman Johnny or Jimmy. I can't remember his last name. But it just reminds me of what are we in service to? Who are we and why are we here? Becomes a really important piece. And one of the first questions, the first session in the Navigating Change as Opportunity, the first Thursday of the 5 Thursdays is going to be what doesn't change in change. Since change is a constant and change is going to happen everywhere, what doesn't change in change? If you know that, it gives you a central spine around which everything else can revolve. It gives you that dynamic equilibrium to bounce back. It gives you that storm anchor in the heaviest seas if you know what doesn't change. And so that's what we're going to be exploring. What doesn't change? That's the principled part. The second session will be about flexibility. How do you expand your perception? How do you see more of the world? How can you see more of what's actually going on?
I was already hooked on the back part there. What happened? I'm giving you instant feedback. I was hooked in that moment. I saw myself, and then the next moment, second phase. Now where are you at? I'm giving you instant feedback.
Yeah. Do you want me to go back to the first phase?
No, no. I want you to talk about what's coming up because I'm hooked.
The second phase is about expanding perception. There's a wonderful quote by William Blake that I love. If the doors of perception were cleansed, the world would appear as it actually is, infinite. Another couplet of his, which is really powerful: see a heaven in a wildflower, and see a heaven in a wildflower, and hold eternity in the palm of your hand. He talks about the ability to see possibility, to expand and to see more than you thought was actually there. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at 7 different ways of expanding perspective. We're going to work with 2 of them. I'm going to let people know about 7, but we only have time to really work with 2. But they'll have 7 that they can experiment and try at whatever appeals to them. And they can use it with their family, with themselves, with their team, with their organization. That's going to be the second one. How do you expand perspective so that you see more possibilities? It expands imagination. It allows for ingenuity. It allows for innovation.
Totally.
And yet, if you focus on expanding perspectives and you don't know what doesn't change, you don't have that core, then you capsize. You capsize because you have too much going on and you don't have that central piece that holds it all together.
Well, what doesn't change, Dusty?
Well, you get into the secrets here.
Oh,
All right.
secret
So,
sauce. I keep giving all my secrets away. I'm gonna come play with you on this thing.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna take the dive for 5 weeks, and we're gonna have some fun and play.
Good.
This is gonna be fun. So what doesn't change, Dusty? What doesn't change? That's how I'm gonna learn that in the.
Yes, I'd like you to think about that. What doesn't change when everything else changes?
Yeah. What? That is the question of the day. What doesn't change?
That's the principled part. And then to be able to navigate change and to seize opportunity, You have to be principled and flexible. I call it principled flexibility. It is that ability to bend and give without breaking. It's the ability to not be rigid and yet still have a spine. It is that ability to seize possibility, see possibility, to hear inclusivity, to invite different perspectives, because none of us is as smart as all of us. Famous words by the great philosopher Anonymous. None of us is as smart as all of us.
Mm. So once you've got an expanded perspective, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
That's kind of like our conversation. Because I didn't know. I don't know until I asked the question. And sometimes when you lean into something that's just a little bit foreign, just a little bit nervous, and it's got this tingle. This is my experience, right? It's just a little bit of, I recognize it as fear, like, oh, you're about to step on the edge, you know? And I call that is my edge, because it's at that place where I'm beginning to, like, if I step forward into it and I take action, I'm going to learn something, because I'm curious about what it is on the other side. And I'm not so afraid that the world's going to hit me upside the head. It's like, I know I'm going to bump and I'm going to move and I'm going to get hurt and, get back up and let's go play, and getting to that place. And so, like, I kind of have this inherent, but I want to play with my friends and learn more.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. That's what we do. That's what we do, Dusty. We play with our friends. We play with our friends and we learn and we grow. And we make a lot of money and we let it flow. And it's okay. It's not a bad thing to create energy, to create power, to be truly wealthy, to be limited, unlimited, untapped potential. And that's like but if I don't surround myself with those people, if I don't put myself in the company of people like you that I trust, that in those places, in those spaces, I grow.
Yeah.
And, I find that it's good for me. Every step that I keep taking. You guys want to come play with us? We're gonna come play for the next 5 weeks. This is top level stuff right here. This is I spent a week with Dusty in Ireland, and I don't know what to expect over these 5 weeks. And this is part of the mystery that I love, is like, you go in with the intention of service of one another, because we get to hold the mirror for one another and we know we're safe, and whatever comes up comes up. I'm not expecting anything but greatness, to evolve and to learn how to navigate and build an organization even today. I mean, the organizations I've built in the past, they're nothing compared to what I, I see the potential.
Yeah.
And what's a company? A company is a band of people. It's a group. It's a collaborative effort. It's, you're fixed on a point of what's that point? What's that mission? And that's one of those, coming back to that full circle, right? Because if you don't know where that mission, that vision is, well, that's one of the key factors of keeping that boat straight, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. So you said two things. I wanna talk about this one right here. If you think about a company as a thing, if you think about it as a machine, you're off the mark.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's an error. A company is a living organism, and
Mm-hmm.
that living organism is informed by those that work within it. It is fed by the client systems that choose to use its services or its products. Its lifeblood is communication, collaboration, cooperation. It's got to be able to adapt to changing conditions. What happens with many organizations is they become rigid. They become either they lose their lean muscle, they lose their capacity to be flexible, they become rigid. They might be very, very powerful in terms of great income coming in and great reputation, but they're becoming ossified. They're becoming, oh gosh, like rigor mortis is setting in. And what happens to most organizations over time is they become overmanaged and underled. They begin to lose their heart. And when you lose the heart, you lose the core, or the things that shouldn't change, the organization is doomed. And every organization I've seen that focused only on the bottom line, that chased the dollars and cents, suboptimized, went out of business, was acquired by another organization, or lost its followership. So there's a living organism that needs to be fed and taken care of. There needs to be a constant renewal. There's a shedding of old skin and old cells. There has to be a way of feeding that. And that has to do with what doesn't change and what does change. And so understanding organization as a living entity and understanding you are a steward of that living entity and you're part of that living entity is really what I think great leaders need to understand and do understand and use. The second thing you mentioned was you talked about wealth, creating great wealth. Great wealth will make you comfortable. It won't make you happy. Great wealth will make you comfortable. It will not bring you joy. Great wealth won't even necessarily bring you security, because I know people with great wealth who are worried about what they're going to lose or needing to get more, or feeling people are only after being with them because of their money or their influence. So great wealth is great. Don't expect it to bring you happiness or true meaning in life. Meaning comes from something else. It comes from the heart and the spirit of who you are. One of the greatest compliments I received was from a CEO who's made hundreds of millions of dollars. He has more than half a dozen companies. And he said to me one evening in front of his team, he said, I've made lots of money, but until I started working with you, until I started using this wholehearted leadership approach, I didn't know what joy was. And I was in tears because my whole purpose is coming from my deepest heart and inviting everyone I meet to come from there so we can be our authentic best selves.
Whoa, man. That's the title of my book, Dusty, Being the Authentic Self.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. There's no other way.
Right.
There's no other way. And that's teaching presence. And comes full circle. And I'm so honored to be in your presence. I'm so honored to be your friend. I really am. I know I can come up to the Carolinas and you can come here anywhere. It's family. It's Ohana. And, it doesn't matter whether we're in Hawaii or any other part of the world, Australia, it doesn't matter. I felt your truth. I felt your true north. I felt your heart. I felt your spirit. And I got to share this because it's truth. You're only going to attract that which you are. So why not put out your best self? Why would you put out anything less than what you have, than what you want to be and see and have and taste and feel, and just put it out there. Put that richness out there because that is you. And so I'm just going to share this. This is the truth. This is the caliber of energy, of power that you have in front of you that you'll be treated to if you come with us and play with us over the next 5 weeks. I would certainly hope you'd have this same experience or know the depth of this. I can't promise you anything. I can't promise you anything, but I can tell you and I can share with you my experience. That's my truth. And when I sat on the mat and made my intention to sit with my friend Dusty, and I stared into the sun and I sat in a little meditation and I just dropped in presence and I felt my friend staring back at me. There it was. Kid you not. I come right back, and when I'm finished in my meditation and I saw I came back straight to my desk and my phone rang. Who was calling me? Dusty was calling me. We had our conversation and preparation, and before I left, before we parted, I had to lean in, and this is what I was talking about, leaning in and asking the question. I asked Dusty, I said, Dusty, did you intend for me to see that? Did you send me? Did you intend for me to see that in my meditation? And he said, yes, I did.
Mm.
Yes, I did. You don't know what you don't know until you ask the questions, my friends. And this is, so stay curious and come on in. You'll be all right. Oh, Dusty, let's give. I haven't even paid attention to Facebook. I've been paying attention to you and just in the flow. And I think it would be appropriate to come out and look and see if there's. I have no idea if anybody's even here.
Mm.
Oh, aloha. Yeah, we got some thumbs up, and boy, thank you, Ellen, for tuning in. Thank you so much for just being present with us. I I get lost in the presence of my friends, and this is an art, and it's a beautiful place to be. So come join us. We're going to drop some information on this upcoming retreat in the comments. And Dusty, what do you got, my brother? I let me please just give it to you, my friend.
Well, gosh, we've talked about trust and the four aspects of trust. We briefly talked about courage, talked about psychological safety. So, what I would say is, in light of everything we've been talking about, the the greatest gift we can give anybody, the greatest gift we can give to an organization, to a family, to a team, is our presence and being fully present. Not in my head thinking of what I need to say, not in my head preparing or rehearsing, not in my head defending, but can I open my heart? Our heads will screw us up. And our heads have screwed us up as a society. We need to remember that the heart is the integrative center, and we need to come back to our hearts. People don't follow you because you're smart. People follow you because they care. That's heart. People don't follow you because you're highly technical. People follow you because they believe in you. That's heart. People don't throw themselves in the way of harm to help you because they think you're competent. They put themselves in the way of harm because they love you. So as a leader, how do you touch those elements of love, of caring, of compassion, of courage? And do you break courage into its different acts, understanding that everybody's courageous in certain ways, and in certain ways they're not? And can I help build on where they are courageous and help them address the gaps where they're not? So for me, it's like we're a work in progress. We never arrive. A way I think about it is we look at the horizon. And if we're always chasing the horizon, we never arrive. So people set goals. I'll be wealthy. Well, when they get there, that's not enough. There's more wealth. I knew one executive I worked with who was upset because he only had 500 million and he had a friend who had 2 billion. Okay. So if you chase the horizon, if you're always chasing goals, you're not going to end up in a place that's joyful, nor will you create what you came here to create. So instead, can you know you're centered and whole where you are? Can you hold that? You see a horizon, see the possibility. You're always at home and you're always on the journey home. You're always whole and okay right here, and you can create more. But you don't attach your ego. You don't attach your sense of well-being to whether you create this or not. Instead, you say, how can I create greater joy in my life? How can I create greater love? How can I create greater meaning? How can I be of greater service? You know, when we die, I love this saying from the Buddha, which is when you die, you're not going to say, I wish I had had more. It's going to be, how deeply did I love? How fully did I live? How completely did I give myself over to life?
Hmm.
Part of seizing the opportunity in difficult, challenging change is knowing what a true end goal is, not a means. That's the horizon. It's knowing what doesn't change. It's knowing everything else can change. It's having that interior orientation. It's having the tools, the insight, the mechanism to be able to move through change individually, and with your family, with a team, with an organization, and as a society. We are hungry for more wholehearted leadership in this world. And most of the models of leadership are partial. They're half-hearted. They don't take into account critical factors. And for me, there are 7 critical factors that go into really wholehearted leadership. And there's competency-based leadership, which only addresses 1/7. Integrity-based leadership, 1/7. Passion and commitment, gung-ho, that's 1/7. Building intimacy, that's 1/7. Right? So we need to understand all of those factors and how we can build that wholehearted perspective towards being more completely ourselves, inviting people to be present with us, and to break down the monolithic words into understand, like trust. Here are the 4 building blocks of trust. Here are the 7 or 8 building blocks of courage. What psychological safety is a end product. It is a result of doing certain other things. How do we do these things? And understanding that and understanding ourselves and having a little bit of grace, a little bit of forgiveness, a little bit more patience, and slowing down to 85% of our normal speed,
Hmm.
that helps. Because when we're moving really fast, we're not connecting. When we're moving really fast, we're not in our heart, we're in our head. When we're moving really fast, we miss things.
I had to do that today. I I had to do that today. I had a phone conversation with a on a business call, and I actually had to say, "Will you please give me a moment? I need to catch my breath and my heart because I felt my heart racing, and I knew that anything that came out of my mouth wasn't going to be good for me. It wasn't going
Yeah.
to be good for the other human being on the other end of that line." And he allowed me to do that. He's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." Like, I just put the phone down for a minute and really got back into that heart space before. I know that sounds weird, right? I mean, but that's the reality. It was like if I'd have stepped into that place, I mean, I'm writing my own story. I'm writing the story.
Yeah.
I'm the author of my
Yep.
life.
Yep.
I, once you know how it works, now you play the game. Now, I was asking my father-in-law, he's a master at chess. And I said, how did you get so good at chess? He says, you got to play the game, man. You got to play the game. I was just, okay, got to play the games. Okay, let's play. Let's play. Well, when do we start?
We're going to start Wednesday, the 23rd at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be, the title is Navigating Change as Opportunity. And it's going to go for 5 consecutive Thursdays, 23rd into the middle of August. It's from 7 to 8:15. It's 75 minutes. And it's broken into 5 segments. The 5th segment is a chance for everybody just to talk about what they've learned, what they've been doing. It's more of a free-for-all. But the first 4 are really providing people with the GPS system, with the orientation, with the insights, with some key tools, and a roadmap for how to really seize the greatest opportunity when you're dealing with change. And I'll be doing some individual coaching in between with folks. And we've got some great people who've already signed up, and we're keeping it really small. Only 22 people total. So I think we have 4 or 5 slots left. now that you've taken one. Um, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to working with people, having people learn from each other. And of course, we're using Zoom so we can do breakout rooms. So there'll be breakout rooms, which will mix and match to have people have a chance to talk with other participants and learn from each other, and then come back and share with a larger group. And we'll be doing that throughout the 5 sessions.
Well, every experience I've had with you has been on an absolute high level, the highest. And that's why I just yield and recognize mastery. You don't know what you don't know until you
Thank you.
ask. And I'm going to be here. So please, you want to come on in and join us, reach out to Dusty. We're going to drop this stuff in the chat bot or in the comments. And so there'll be an offering there. You can come play with us if you want to. That's what we get to do. Play with our friends, have a lot of fun. And I always say make a lot of money, but I mean, I'm learning to just be me, and it's
Yeah.
okay because I really kind of like that. It's kind of fun. But anyway, be comfortable in your own shoes, man. Just come on out, be your authentic self. If you don't know how, come learn how to do that with us. You'll be in good hands.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've been very excited because, all of my work has traditionally been in front of people, in front of groups, like in Ireland when we had the group for 6 days at Delphi in the Connemara Mountains. And we could do intensive work, morning, afternoon, have dinners together. Well, with COVID and all this, we're now having to do things more virtually. So I had to sit down and say, well, what can I do in 5 75-minute sections to really convey something that's very complex? How can I simplify? So I've been forced to really simplify and really think. And I got very excited because I was putting things together in ways I've never put them together before. So there are things I've put together that you've not experienced, even 6 days with me, because I had to figure out, how do I convey this? How do I put this together? How do we tie it in a way that really makes is really going to communicate with people across this virtual paradigm that we're now in. Mm-hmm. And so I'm actually very excited about doing this.
Well, I am too. So it's the only way I can play with you right now today. So we'll play the way we can.
And the quote that I started with William Blake is, to see a world in a grain of sand and a heaven in a wildflower. Hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour.
That's timeless.
That's the art of possibility. That's expanding perception. And that's just one of the major things that are important as you're dealing with change.
Are you going to do any work on visualization?
Yeah, I'm going to do a little bit of visualization each time we're together.
Good.
I've got a little 5-minute visualization, simply because I'd love to do 15, 20 minutes, but when I have 75 minutes, I'm having to break it into segments. But I want everybody to have a touch and a taste. And sometimes even just 2 or 3 minutes can make all the difference in the world.
Yeah, a little preparation in advance too. Okay, yeah. Cool. I know how to gear up.
All right, sir. It's been great talking to you.
Yeah. See you soon. Hey, how's the weather up there? Is it, you still got, what's going on in the Carolinas? You still got thunder and lightning?
Well, it's not thunder and lightning, but it's raining out there. And I'm looking out at how dark it is here, which is nice because it's been like 92 plus temperature. So it's cooled off just a little bit, which is nice.
Cool. All right. My love to Christine, and we will see you on the inside.
See you on the inside. Blessings. Take care. Bye-bye.